Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we're going to discuss the astrological energies from February 11th until February 18th. No doubt a powerhouse period of time where the energetics are quite big and strong. Now, as I was preparing for today's show, I had to truly ground into the present moment and just take a pause to listen to my guidance. And what I'm hearing is that that's exactly what each of us needs to do more intentionally right now is take that pause, put down the phone, quiet the mind, close your eyes, and feel into the present moment. Tap into what energies are really strong for you right now, what you are feeling physically and energetically that is reminding you of the hope, joy, and uplifting energies of this moment. And if that isn't what you're feeling, absolutely trust whatever you are feeling. But one thing that has been flooding through me is this rising hope around the change that is underway, around the elevations that are happening, even around the validation of our own frequency upgrades. So if you're feeling that too, and maybe even thinking, what a bizarre thing to feel considering everything that's being excavated at this time. But what I'm sensing is that there is this grand turnover that's happening, which has been in the works for many decades. And we are now going to see new possibilities present themselves. So that is why I am feeling this rising hope and excitement. And as I was checking in with my galactic guidance, they were all nodding their heads. Yes, this is an exciting time for humanity's evolution and for where we're going this year. Because within a short amount of time, our world is going to start to rebirth itself, which looks like chaos, which looks like a lot of discomfort and pain. Because yes, in fact, the labor process is quite painful. But also during labor, the body is doing what it's meant to do. This is what the body is meant to recreate during that physical labor experience. And so there's a lot of wisdom built into rebirthing and recreation. And as we move through this cycle, it is up to us to continue to go higher and maintain a long-term perspective on what is unfolding and dramatically changing on our planet. But that Aquarius energy, which is fixed air, Aquarius is the ability to look above the horizon where you can see further down the path and you're not energetically caught up in all of the conversations, ideas, opinions, or temporary developments that are in the present moment. Aquarius is the ability to look up higher. In fact, you could even visualize that it's up where the Earth's exosphere resides. And the exosphere is the outermost layer of the Earth's atmosphere. It marks the transition to space. It's where many satellites is in that exosphere. And so there could be some energetics there to be aware of, because the exosphere is how Earth's atmosphere interacts with the solar system, as well as impacts our atmospheric evolution. So there is some very high level understandings that we are meant to focus on at this time. And again, that is part of the Aquarius fixed vision of going into that next level energy that of course seems bizarre, unfathomable, weird, yet it holds all of these strong potentials that are slowly arriving in our consciousness. This is a time of powerful downloads. This is a time of rising galactic consciousness, and you might feel or sense that you are also changing in ways you don't quite logically understand and you can't fully describe. This is unique for each person because you are on your own timeline. You are in your own frequency domain, if you will. And so it is personal because you'll receive exactly what you're ready for. And some people are going to have some impactful quantum leaps and some dramatic awakening experiences here, especially as we enter into eclipse season. Saturn re-enters Aries. And then, of course, the upcoming Saturn-Neptune conjunction next week on February 20th. We have a lot of frequency upgrades that are occurring rapidly, and not everyone is comfortable with how energy can run through them at a faster rate or faster speed. And so check in on your own energy field if you're sensing that something is clogged or it's not running smoothly, because what I'm feeling is that the energy is now not only running down through us, coming through that crown chakra and going through all 6 of the lower chakras into the earth. Now it's coming back up through us from the earth, moving through all 7 chakras, moving out into the higher chakras, and we are now more divinely connected because of these energy flows. And so there's a lot more that we are working with, and I'm seeing it run more effortlessly for many people. It's becoming a more normal way of life, is to just feel how deeply connected you are to not only your own energy systems, but the earth and the cosmos. And so that's part of how this energy is going to be moving through us more quickly, and part of the human upgrade experience that is also unfolding this year. We are becoming stronger energetic beings. We are embodying more light. We are more deeply connected to our evolved psychic gifts and senses, and we are now living on the planet with these capabilities more effortlessly. And if you're not quite feeling that yet, that's okay. It's about simply accepting where you're at, but knowing that if you invite in with intention and consciousness this energy stream, it will arrive for you, and it will be something you experience here very rapidly as 2026 unfolds. And so this is a time when the energetic split is occurring more cleanly and more rapidly. And we're going to continue to see that as elements, structures, foundations, and situations connected with dense 3D energies will collapse, disappear, be removed. I will continue to create more drama and chaos, which is not an energy of the higher realms. There will be a greater understanding of this energetic divide. And I feel like the bigger intention from the universe is actually wanting everyone to make the leap, if you will, or to grow into the higher energy experiences. The universe wants as many people as possible to enter into these higher frequencies and these new levels of personal empowerment. But of course, it always comes down to individual sovereignty, free will, and personal choices. And so we're going to start to see that much more dramatically as February unfolds. Now, over this week, on February 13th, Saturn re-enters Aries and will now stay in the first sign of the zodiac until April 2028. Of course, we know that Saturn has been back and forth here in the first few degrees of Aries since last year. And so this is a powerful re-entry, a grounding of what you are initiating, what you've been considering since last year, playing with, sampling, figuring it out, perhaps really determining how much do I want this. Well, now there is a powerful new beginning that is going to be unfolding here into February and March. Do keep in mind that the energetics continue, because after Saturn enters Aries, then we have the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees 44 of Aries. And then in March, we're going to have the spring or Aries equinox, where the sun moves across 0 degrees of Aries. Plus, over the next few months into April, we're going to see Mercury, Mars, and Venus all enter into Aries, moving across the 0 degree point. So from now until the middle of April or so, Saturn, Neptune, the Sun, Mars, Venus, and Mercury are all activating this new beginning point of energy, where there is a strong creation potential here that you are feeling, sensing, wanting, desiring for an important reason. This is coming from soul level intentions. There is something here that you're ready to begin, that in your soul awareness, you knew this was the lifetime for it. This is one of the reasons why you took a body and why you came here to begin something new. Whether it is a new chapter in your life, a new intention, a new level of consciousness that you're learning to trust and move forward with. Maybe there's some new things that are happening in your world that you've been sitting on or hesitating with. Now is the time to put that energy into motion, and this is where there will be support for doing so. Another strong message I'm feeling around this emphasis on the beginning of Aries is that there are intentions you have at a soul level to start something new for the first time in your soul's experience that you are ready for because of what you have healed and moved through, because of your level of consciousness and spiritual growth, because of who you came here to be and fully embody in this lifetime. So some people are going to be beginning something new in their physical reality that's directly connected to their soul's intention to have this experience on earth. And of course, that could be so many things, but it's very personal. It's something that you sense and feel. It gives you energy. It gives you a sense of, yes, I want this. I'm in alignment with this. This feels true for me. So it's a self-validating energy. No one else can validate it for you. In fact, you are meant to validate it for yourself and then make moves on it. Make it happen. Let's go. Let's get there. Let's make this into something that you are excited to create an experience in this life. It is that big. And again, February, March, and April is where these energies are rising up within us and coming to our conscious understanding. It's also important to note that these are things that you do need to take action on. It's not simply thinking about it and talking about it and doing a vision board and dreaming about it. That phase is over. This is now a time of the rubber hits the road. We make moves and you take those inspirations and you do something that is about the commitment to them. That is Saturn and Aries. How are you committing to yourself and this new endeavor, whatever it may be? Sometimes that looks like putting money into something, right? Investing, buying that airfare, securing a reservation, signing a contract. It could be anything that even feels like a risk because it's new and it's requiring you to move into a new energy field within yourself that you're feeling that yes to. So this is part of how the energies are going to pick up and move forward over the next few months. It's time to follow your yes, take action and do the thing because the universe is supporting you with that. And you could really feel that over the course of this next week. So Saturn re-enters Aries again on February 13th or 14th, depending on your time zone. And then next week, we'll have that Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries, exact on February 20th. And I do have a surprise for you about that energy and that topic. And I hope to release that surprise on Saturday, February 14th on YouTube only. So if you are a subscriber to my YouTube channel, make sure that you have hit the bell so that you get all of the notifications as the videos are uploaded and available. And that will be an important video discussing even more of what's to come this year. But just know that this is an important time period to be listening to what you want and to be solidifying your commitment to manifesting it and creating it, because again, it can happen quite quickly with these energies. Now, not only do we have very strong initiation energies, but we're also going to see the Sun in Aquarius square Uranus in Taurus at 27 degrees on February 15th, 2 days before the Aquarius Solar Eclipse on February 17th. So that means February 15th to the 17th has some startling impacts. There are more intense changes here that are going to be shocking. It's going to be next level. There is an escalation of knowledge. There is more that comes out and is revealed. There's even going to be global level disruptions that occur. Now, I feel like I've been saying that for a while around these themes, and that's simply because we've had strong interactions with the Aquarius planets squaring Uranus in Taurus. We've been in this energy phase since the end of January, and we can see how much has come to light and what is being revealed. Well, as we move into next week, it's going to increase. There's going to be even more. And so this means we will need to return to what is essential, where you find peace, where you tune in to what you need in order to navigate these big shifts and wild changes. There's going to be more noise, more confusion. There will be a lot of intensity coming to light. And it's interesting because that is the sun's purpose, is to reveal and bring our consciousness to whatever is important for us to know, understand, and see. And so that square to Uranus does so very dramatically. But then the energetics move into the solar eclipse, which is a new moon, when the sky is the darkest. The Aquarius new moon is exact at 28 degrees 50 minutes of Aquarius on February 17th. And every new moon is a time of seeding a new intention. And so the sky is the darkest. It's a period of being internal and listening, but it could be harder to do so with all of the energetics out there in the world and all of the stimuli swirling all around us. So it could be harder to find time to listen to what is moving within you if you're overly distracted or caught up in the world and what's going on at a mass scale. This is an interesting time, right? Because we know that we are in charge of our energy in all ways. And yet I find that too often we can think that being in our power is about being assertive or loud or in that strong yang masculine energy of pushing our energy out into the world or making a strong declaration. Yes, that's one form of being in your power, but you are also always in your power whenever that is your intention. So you can be a powerful observer. You are in your power when you're listening. You are in your power when you are unassuming. You are in your power in all ways and at all times when you decide so. And it can look different throughout the day and through different phases of your life. You are in your power in stillness. You are in your power in contemplation. And you are in your power when you speak up and assert your needs, your desires, your emotions. And it's important to own this because you have no power over other people's choices, words, behaviors, or actions. And people who seek to have power over others go into those control and manipulation tactics that we've known about for eons. But part of this energy that's coming through and rising up within each of us is claiming your full sovereign power in all areas of your life, in all ways, no matter how you choose to be or to express it. You are always connected to those parts of yourself. And that's what you continue to own, regardless of the changes, collapses, and actions of others all around you. And as things get louder, and as energies come in with a force, we have the opportunity to choose, how will I be in my power at this time as it serves me and my needs? And you may be surprised at your own answers at times where you realize, I feel powerful doing nothing. I feel powerful in my joy, in my bliss, in my happiness. And that's what's serving me now. And so that conscious use of your experience of your power is going to be very important, not only during this eclipse time, but again, as the energies all move into Aries and we become more fully embodied in our self-concept and our intentions. And so these eclipse energies are going to shake things loose. You might find that you have been set free from something during this eclipse period, including that sun in Aquarius squaring Uranus and Taurus. Again, that's on February 15th, right before the moon and Sun align in the darkness of Aquarius. There is something here that is busting you free from a previous version of your reality, a previous frame of mind or consciousness. There is a new, more evolved consciousness arriving and coming in for us at a personal level that February is moving us through. And so stay aware of what that feels like for you this week, what you're noticing, what you're realizing, and also to trust that it's right on time as we advance at a collective level and at an individual level. Now, some people get really uncomfortable with change, and a lot of these energies are in the fixed signs. The fixed signs being Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. These are where the jolts are happening in your chart. So you want to identify where you have late degrees of Taurus and late degrees of Aquarius. These are two power points of change in your life that are going to be potentially rocking you some more this week. And so you identify 27 degrees of Taurus by house placement, then 28 to 29 degrees of Aquarius by house placement. These energies are in a square, and it means they are both experiencing the earthquaking and shaking energies that could be for your best and highest good. This is also a part of the recreation energies that are very strong. Life is changing, and we have to be ready to keep up with it. We have to track with the cosmos. We can't resist the change. We can't avoid it. And if you've been doing so, then these changes can feel more drastic. But there's a part of your consciousness that already knew these changes would be unfolding, and now they're showing up in the real world. So this is where the changes that are happening might be pretty dang exciting. And you might feel that finally energy. You might feel some bursts or sparks of new life within you. You might sense that you're ready, like finally ready for something here to begin, and that it's bigger than you. And that is a big signature of this energy, is that the changes that are unfolding are coming through as we track with these cosmic energies, and you are aligned with a powerful force of creation that's moving you through change. And so in the higher realms, you've totally got this. It's handled. You're able to move and groove with these developments. And there could be that might seem to start off slowly. But remember, on February 17th, it's also the Chinese Lunar New Year. That fire horse is stampeding in and moving you quickly ahead with inspiration, courage, bravery, and strength. And so the question is, are you ready to embody that energy and to live with it? Now, if we think of the fire horse, well, then we know that we're working with the fire element. And we've been talking about the strong Aries energy, which is a fire sign. The fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And so this is where we're going to have new life being brought into our realities that is motivational, fast-paced, inspiring, exciting, and potentially too much at times. Because that fire horse isn't grounded. It's about movement, passion, desire, the ability to create in whole new ways. So there's going to be a lot moving through us here, and it can be hard to even manage it all at times. Of course, it depends on your chart and how much fire you have in your chart. This energy also works well with the air signs of Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And so the air signs are going to feel that they are being activated and brought to life with new creations, new visions, and new things you've been considering. I also want to note that February 17th is Mardi Gras or Fat Tuesday, and that Ramadan begins at sundown. So there's a lot going on the planet during this Aquarius new moon solar eclipse. It is happening at nearly the end of Aquarius, 28 degrees 50 minutes. So we round up to 29 degrees of Aquarius. This is the first Aquarius solar eclipse since 2018. And it will be activated again in late July, early August, when the North Node moves to 29, then 28 degrees of Aquarius, meaning that whatever is initiated and comes in now, here in February, March, April, it's going to receive more growth and momentum in late July and August. So this is why you also want to identify where you have the late degrees of Aquarius in your chart, because this is where you're meant to be developing your life vision, where you are being taken further along on your path, and where you're perhaps receiving more of those downloads and guidance around your own future, around what you're creating in yourself. So maybe you're sensing what's next in your life, what you want next in your life, what that looks like at a grand level. And so keep in mind, this is a vast, wide vision. It is very futuristic, and it's meant to be a little unbelievable. It's meant to be something that feels so far out there. How could this possibly happen or manifest? How could this possibly come about? But the energy of this year says that it's highly likely that it will. So this is allowing yourself to dream bigger, go further, expand the vision, expand that vision board, allow yourself to work with whatever crazy potentials give you life and excite you. And as you do this during these strong Aries energy, you might be surprised at exactly what comes through and manifests, because you were willing to go there. You were willing to dream a bigger dream outside of the status quo, outside of old programming or smaller, more confined levels of consciousness. This is huge, high level stuff. And that's where we're going. In fact, what I'm feeling is that that's what so many of you deserve. You deserve to have your biggest, wildest dream, whatever that looks like. You deserve to experience that. And I'm feeling too, like this is energy that's really needed on the planet right now. The sense of hope and faith in what's to come, a direct connection to your joy and what gives you life, and understanding that we're here to keep going. We're here to keep going, to keep creating, to keep developing what we want to experience on this planet, and that is what we actively choose with our free will. And so this is a time period to get clearer on that for yourself, to give it life, to give it intentionality, and to know that the universe is right there with you as you are co-creating with these higher manifestations. Abraham Hicks has taught a manifestation technique, which is called the 17-second rule, which is that if you hold a pure positive thought for 17 seconds, this ignites a stronger connection to the law of attraction, and that the longer you hold that thought, the intensity increases. So if you hold it for 34 seconds, 51 seconds, 68 seconds, it all continues to exponentially grow and creates energy around manifesting exactly what you want. So that is just a simple, easy practice to bring into your awareness, and then think about what will develop if you do that repetitively throughout the day. And to amplify the energy of these intentions, we also have Mercury in Pisces trining Jupiter retrograde in Cancer at 15 degrees right before the eclipse. So that's actually exact on February 16th, but it is still in motion around the eclipse period, as Mercury is in retrograde shadow territory, but will be interacting with Jupiter in Cancer 3 times and always at 15 degrees. So this is the first pass of Mercury in Pisces trining Jupiter retrograde in Cancer at 15 degrees on February 16th, and they will meet up 2 more times in March and in April. So for this week, it's time to be aware of how that Jupiter retrograde in Cancer is bringing you emotional understanding around something you have experienced from the past. That's because Jupiter retrograde in Cancer is taking bring you back into past timelines, previous experiences, whether in this lifetime or other lifetimes, that you are meant to find the wisdom from, as well as closure. And that is something that Mercury in Pisces is going to be offering you through the messages that will arrive over the next few months. Mercury has an extended stay in Pisces because of the upcoming retrograde that begins on February 26th and lasts until March 20th. I did a separate podcast episode for you on this specific transit and what is important about Jupiter's role in interacting with Mercury. And this week is the first important understanding. The Jupiter in Cancer energy could also be directing you into your maternal lineage, your ancestors, a generational development and growth, what you are changing or altering in your family. Cancer is about family, home, children, where you came from, where you grew up, people from the past. Also energies of your emotional world, your internal needs, what nourishes you and supports you. And you might find that you have new understandings around your own needs and what you are learning and loving about yourself. This is very internal energy. It's very private. And so it's also bringing you into your emotional core, which can offer you some beautiful personal understandings. On my YouTube channel, I have put out for you the chart, the astrology chart on the Aquarius Solar Eclipse. So please check that out as I go into more of the specifics around this eclipse. Obviously, there's a lot going on, and I did do a separate podcast episode for you on this topic too, since it is the biggest eclipse of this year. So I hope those other resources give you more to consider and think about with this Aquarius solar eclipse and how it is one that will be changing us very dramatically and deeply as we move into more of who we came here to be in this lifetime, which certainly involves more galactic energies, multidimensional energies, higher frequency, new earth energies, and so much more. Now, right after the eclipse, the sun enters Pisces at 10:51 a.m. Eastern Time on February 18th. Actually, the moon will enter Pisces first, followed by the sun, and that is essentially a collective exhale, a need to take a step back and get a break. This is where we're all going to want more downtime to process and think things through. The sun enters Pisces, and we could feel like we just need to be left alone. You're ready for a break, or to simply not be reachable, to not be as available. The sun moving into Pisces is also giving us more support for getting out of the mind, for all the overthinking, overprocessing, everything we are considering, evaluating, determining. This is a time to lean back and exhale and feel into, what do I need in this moment? What is better for me right now that maybe I have forgotten I need? Maybe I need to just float in the bath or hide in the library in order to escape all these intense energies and to return to more of my personal energy field and what I need right now. I'll be talking more about the sun in Pisces journey shortly, but if you are just feeling overwhelmed and exhausted from a lot, this could be a time when you feel more supported in taking a break. I'll be sharing more about the sun in Pisces themes on Monday's show, especially since the sun in Pisces will involve a Mercury retrograde in Pisces. So there are many high impact energies unfolding here through the middle of February. And I feel that ultimately these are upgrades. These are energies that are helping us break free of where we have been held back or limited. This is where you could feel new levels of awakening and liberation, especially around your power and what you're here to experience in this lifetime. It is no doubt a threshold period of time, and we're each feeling that in our own ways. But I hope ultimately during this eclipse season, you are connecting with even more of your gifts, your choices, your light, and your power that elevates you, that makes you feel excited for what's to come and what you're creating in your life. Because as the world changes dramatically this year, you're going to see that what you focused on, where you put your intentionality and your mindset is what has led you through this year. So the power of the mind is always a part of our experience, but it's so much more than that right now. It's the power of our full energy, our consciousness, our emotional body, our humanness, all of that and more is where we are intentionally creating our next version of life, and where we are each anchoring in more of these new earth values and frequencies, and how we are in control and in an active state of development on this planet. So that's very important to just remember, because the multidimensional energies are coming in strongly. The galactic presence is here and is going to be even stronger throughout this year. And the ability to live and love being the next version of your humanness is really a beautiful gift. So I hope that is a good reminder of perhaps where to direct your consciousness or to put your mindset while all these big changes unfold, and while some real horrific, diabolical things continue to come to light. It's not over. It's not done. There's going to be more that comes through, but it needs to be seen. And that is part of the cycle. It needs to be seen, revealed, witnessed, and brought into the light. For those of you who have mentioned this, yes, I did a podcast back in April 2020 called Rising Light, Clearing, Cleansing, and Revitalizing Humanity's Energy Field. And in that episode, I shared with you the story of Richie Rich and an experience I had back in 2002, yes, 24 years ago, about what Richie Rich was doing behind the scenes, more specifically in his CEO suite in his global office, and how I had connections with people who were there on site when there was a significant raid of his office and many databases of content were removed that had illegal videos, images, etc. on it. It was an overnight, multi-hour removal of this material. And I remember being told what was happening, and I was so confused because I didn't get it. Also, think back to 2002. The state of the internet then was very different than how it is now. So anyways, many of you have commented on that story that I shared with you in April 2020, and that you knew who Richie Rich was, and that you were happy that things were being revealed. And so it's always a mixed bag, right? Because even though we're happy, we're also really horrified and saddened and grief. And there's a lot that goes on with that. But this is where it's important to know that we have to let it ride. We have to let things play out. There's things that we can't always force, and we can't always make people know or make people understand. There are things that have to play out that we're not in control of, but the universe is. And so this is a big period of time where things need to be revealed and they need to come to light. And keep in mind that with this Pluto in Aquarius energy, which is power to the people and the people's voices and revolution from groups, communities, how we gather together under a shared agenda or an intention, that is going to continue to be very strong energy. And so I know that there are many who are watching the legal system for justice, looking at the legal system and the courts to make final decisions and issue verdicts on illegal actions, behaviors, and evidence that's presented. So that is one system. But keep in mind that's a 3D system. There's also another system where we have a lot of power, and that's not simply relying upon the official courts, but it's the court of public opinion. It's the court of what we deem ethical, right, and just in our communities, in our lives, on our planet. And so the court of public opinion is very powerful. And how we activate that energy is going to be coming up with this Pluto in Aquarius transit, and how the people embody more of their sovereign power, live from it, and even look at what is the real fight here. Is the fight about blue versus red, left versus right, this guy versus that guy? Sure, that can be a part of it if that's your perspective. But there's also the viewpoint of who's been working against the people. Because when the people are united, when they're not simply stuck in blue versus red dynamics, that's a very strong, united population. And so there's this new understanding of, is it the people versus the elites? Is it the collective versus those in control? Is it the masses versus the few? So there's going to be some new perceptions here around how we use our conscious energy in the ways that really matter. And that's where there's going to be even more discomfort, but also more change. So on that note, I hope you feel and connect to the good at this time, the hope that is rising and the potentials that exist because of the consciousness we embody and the true power we each have. It's an important time to take care of each other, to remember that we're all in this together as brothers and sisters on this green and blue marble, and that there's going to be some beautiful new communities and connections that happen as a result of this change. So as always, thank you so much for joining me and listening to this podcast. I'll be back every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for a new episode. The Wednesday episodes here are continuing to be the weekly forecast, and then Monday and Friday are some of the shorter, more deeper dive episodes into more specifics. So wishing you a beautiful Aquarius solar eclipse, hoping that it brings alive some of the best of your unique spark and abilities. And I'll connect with you here again soon. Take good care, and I'll see you back here shortly.